Okay, Justin.
Subo.
Tom.
Frank.
Plaid.
Lads.
Let's go.
All right.
How are we feeling, fellas and boys?
I'm feeling okay, I guess.
That's good.
I'm feeling great.
Okay.
I'm doing pretty well.
Okay.
Here on the Plaid Lads. I'm
Plaid
excited.
lads. Hey, wait a second. There's old Subies. Subo.
Yeah.
That's right. We've got a special guest today.
Old Soupy Sales.
A little fella who's actually been in every episode of Plaid Lads. He's just been in the background, not making any noise, keeping to himself. We give him a Game Boy to play with and a Rubik's Cube, and it keeps him pretty happy. But we decided to give him a microphone and some beer and pull up a chair there, Suboleski, and join our fun tonight.
Yeah.
Join our fun tonight, young man.
Join our fun tonight.
What kind of fun are we talking about, fellas?
We're going to talk about...
Let me take you to the back room and I'll show you.
Oh, dear.
Baby. We're going to talk about the news, which sucks, and then we're going to talk about...
Sucks and it's bad. There's one funny thing, though.
A funny thing, Frank.
A funny thing, Frank.
Yes, there was one funny... Not what happened today. Nothing that happened today was good at all. But earlier in the week.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. How's it going with Tom, you said? Tom's okay. Tom's looking for shows for his band, and he went for a run today because it was nice out. And
Nice.
living life, living large, and subservient to the circumstances that control my fate. How's it going, Subo?
Pretty good, you know. Can't complain. Just
What's
drank
going
a
on?
beer and a half, so
What's
I'm
new?
feeling pretty good.
What's new in Subo land?
What's new in Subi Sand?
Subi stand.
You know, I'm just living the dream.
Living
you
the
know?
dream. I'm trying to tease a thing out of you, Subo. It was not too long ago. Perhaps one lunar cycle.
A fortnight, maybe?
Something
12
called
fortnights, too?
called a honey lunar cycle.
Oh.
A period of time.
Oh, I may have tied the knot,
Tied the knot.
as they say.
Subo got married.
I did.
He got married.
Aren't you all excited
Here
for me?
comes the dude. He's the dude. Do.
Yeah.
So Subo got married.
Yeah.
I was there. I saw it.
I was also there. I wasn't looking.
Justin was just turned around in the corner like Blair Witch.
He had some food in his mouth.
Fuck you.
Congratulations to Subo and Natalia.
And to Natalia.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And may you have like a couple dozen great years.
That is the best we can do, probably.
We're all going to die in the big meteor strike. That's what I say to everyone who will listen.
Yeah, I just bought that book, The Uninhabitable Earth.
Sounds
Fun
fun.
read.
Sounds positive.
Yeah, it makes you really hopeful for the future. I'm sorry, Subo, you just got married. I shouldn't say that. But it's really influenced my mood all week reading that book.
I have a similar fact that I keep in my brain often. It's not really that pressing, but it's like, oh man, life on Earth, is it going to end? Answer, yes.
Yes.
Yes, it will. I tell you why. Because we've all heard of the habitable zone. We're all smart little science dudes and dudettes and non-binary dude people. You know, there's this thing called the Goldilocks zone, where if you're too close, you cook. You're too far away, you freeze. And Earth is sashaying on out of that habitable zone
We're
in
getting
about 50 million years, or 500 million years. Which, to put things into perspective, it's like the Earth is like, I don't know, like 65 years old. Like, we've had life for like 3 billion years. We got about 500 million years left. It's grim. All right, Justin, what's going on?
I've been very depressed recently.
I don't understand why.
Because of major depression.
But Justin, can't you just will yourself happy?
No.
Justin, can't you just eat right and exercise? That's what everyone else tells me cures depression. Fart.
I mean, I haven't tried it. that might actually help.
I was being sarcastic.
No, you know what? From this day forward, I will turn this life around. Thank you, Frank.
Justin, you did
You've
quit
solved this
smoking for a week.
What? Oh, I didn't quit
You did
smoking
quit
at all.
for a week, right?
No, I've been smoking.
The whole time. You said you quit like 3 weeks ago.
I said I was
And
going
then
to quit.
We did the
And then I
we
did.
did the contentious episode of the Plaid Lads where you and I went at it a little, like India and Pakistan.
Oh boy,
Ooh.
And much like India and Pakistan, that solved itself.
it blew over like the winds of the Himalayas. The winds
of Kashmir.
The winds of the Black Nazarene Dahlia. What's that movie we watched?
We watched
Black Narcissus.
Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story.
Oh, that was the one we watched, actually.
The winds of Sils Maria and Black Narcissus.
The clouds of Sils Maria.
Clouds
Black Narcissus,
taste
yeah.
of windowsill flumbitis.
Tom's doing beat poetry, which I appreciate. But Justin, why are you sad?
Because
Justin's doing Mongolian throat singing.
I see.
Not very good at it.
No.
I mean, it takes years to master.
Justin's sad. That sucks. He'll get better, maybe. Probably.
He usually does. He's usually good by next week's episode.
yeah, always you either get better or you don't.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe this is it. Justin's
put
last
that in
episode,
your-
everyone.
See you in hell.
Join us next week for the Justin Memorial Special.
See you later, suckers.
It's all right, but
What's up with Frank?
I'm good. I said this off pod, and I don't want to go into details so people know where I will live, but I just signed a lease on an apartment.
woo!
A city, and that's pretty exciting and very stressful because I have to get new stuff and move it.
Frank's
Yeah,
moving.
that's a thing.
Frank's moving to Philadelphia.
I am moving to Philadelphia. So,
It's not that small of a city. Frank.
It's not that small of a city.
You can't just take a bus to Philadelphia, get off, and go, Frank, Frank, where are you, baby boy?
I'm moving to Philadelphia and from South Jersey, which is not a huge move, but I got to get a bunch of new stuff and put it in a place, and that's going to cost a lot of money.
You're graduating. You graduate at South Jersey.
It's a life event.
And I'll get there, but it's gonna be a little stressful for like 3 weeks, and then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. We'll come visit. We'll come hang out in your smelly apartment.
It's I actually think that we might be able to record a Plaid Lads there. There's like a little living room space. There's
Nice.
fairly spacious bedroom, and we want to do after Plaid Lads cuddles.
Oh man,
Oh,
getting to the
you
cuddle
piqued
puddle.
Justin's interest.
Justin just was cured of his depression.
A little serotonin and something to look forward to.
But seriously, folks, no, it's cool. It's the last time I lived out of South Jersey, I was in like the Bryn Mawr Rosemont area of the main line, which is a nice quiet area. But I spent too much money living out there back then, so I'm looking forward to living in a nice little apartment within my means in Philly.
Nice.
Sweet.
Cool. I just want to point out that it's just an accident. It didn't happen on purpose. 3 of the 4 Musketeers are true to form, wearing plaid patterned shirts.
Yes.
That's true. Should we explain 18 episodes into the podcast what
The
what
premise
this
is?
podcast
Yeah, I think we should, because I feel like we literally have never talked about it. And it was maybe something we should have talked about in September.
First episode.
And now it's March.
I feel like it should also be like the marquee of every episode, like your one-stop shop for Plaid Lads. And then explain what that is, maybe.
I think we should change the podcast.
Yes.
Huh?
Subo,
explain what a Plaid Lad is.
She wasn't there for the joke, though.
Huh?
What?
Quack?
What?
Okay.
I don't know. You're all wearing plaid.
That's true.
You're all lads. Let me see if I can piece together what a plaid lad may be. All right.
All right. Now, ladies,
Yeah?
what's cooler than cool?
Ice cold.
I
remember that song.
That's a great song.
The past. It existed. Check it out. Do we want to talk? Is this, are we done?
I think we've gone over everything.
Do you want to explain Plaid Lads or no? It was time and workplace specific.
I don't recall.
So I think the story goes that when me, Justin, and Frank would do the exact same thing, but at Barnes & Noble, our coworker at the time, Lindsay, shout out to Lindsay.
Shout out to Lindsay,
recently emancipated
from the place that we all worked. She does not soon work there anymore, and good for her.
Soon to be guest on this show.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Their loss is the world's gain. And she looked at us and went, "You're Plaid Lads." And we were like, "Hey, let's start a podcast."
Because literally, the three of us, nearly every day that we went into work, would wear some variation of plaid. I would typically wear a plaid or checkered button-down shirt. Justin would wear some flannel. And Tom would wear like a plaid button-down-ish shirt.
I feel like that's the only kind of plaid shirt, Frank.
It is.
There's not like a plaid t-shirt.
No, but I'm talking about there probably is.
Yeah.
A plaid shirt
Shit.
at this point.
I need to get one.
You do.
My underwear is always plaid. BTS tip.
All right, let's move on to current events. We could Justin.
Stinger.
Okay. So there was a funny thing that happened.
What was the funny thing?
What was the funny thing?
And it's funny because it reminded me of Fargo. It was the college admissions scandal that embroiled many executives, but also Lori Loughlin from TV's Full House. She was Aunt Becky on Full House and Fuller House. And Felicity Huffman, who is a really good actress in her own right. She's going to be on Frasier in like 8 years for a season. And she is also married to William H. Macy.
Yes.
And all week I was laughing my ass off thinking about William H. Macy going up to Felicity Huffman with regards to this deal to get their dumbass kid into college, where they paid like millions of dollars to this company to fake test results to get their child into an elite college. And I pictured William H. Macy going up to Felicity Huffman and be like, "Now, honey, I'm running the deal here. And she goes, "I can get you a finder's fee. Let's talk about 10%. And then the feds start knocking on Felicity Huffman's door, and they have to drag her out screaming in her underwear like William H. Macy at the end of Fargo.
It is hilarious. It's also rage-inducing.
Yeah, it is. It's two of those things, but it is pretty funny.
The specifics of it are hilarious, including photoshopping their kids' faces into sports that they've never played.
They pretended that their children were good at rowing by photoshopping their children's faces onto people who were good at rowing. Or they would pose them onto like a rowing crew, but it wasn't moving.
Everybody knew. Like, this is one of those, like, things that are coming to light today that everybody knew was going on. but then just finding out the specifics are so embarrassing and ridiculous.
Like, how stupid are your kids that if you didn't, like, donate a library or whatever it is that most rich people do to get their dumb kids into a good college, that they wouldn't get in? Are your kids that stupid that you had to commit federal crimes?
Gotta go to some serious lengths.
Lori Loughlin's kid is a social media influencer, so she's pretty smart.
Actually, a big deal too.
The one thing that it's weird that this is happening at this moment in U.S. politics, but it's also not weird because I feel like it's another page in the chapter of America finally waking up to a class consciousness.
Yeah, 100%.
We are a country who has historically been pretty much bereft of class consciousness for the entirety of our existence by design. And there is a burgeoning socialist movement in this country. The Democratic Socialists of America have experienced record numbers since the 2016 presidential election and the preceding candidacy by Bernie Sanders, and now the ensuing rise of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to the House of Representatives has sort of emboldened a new socialist movement in this country. And whether or not it will carry the flame of previous revolutionary global socialist movements remains to be seen, but it's a start. Like
it's just okay. I don't think we're gonna be like eating our turnip rations, comrade, in like 5-10 years. But like America was sort of cartoonishly without class consciousness.
Yeah.
What's that old line where socialism will never take in the U.S. because everybody thinks they're temporarily embarrassed millionaires?
Exactly. Yeah, temporarily embarrassed millionaires. I've always felt that like we should trade off a little bit of the UK's class consciousness for our racial consciousness. Mm-hmm. And like if we do a little bit of an exchange between us and the UK of those different stratas, it would solve each of our problems a little bit.
Yeah.
But I like it. Another thing I like that's happening on the day we're recording, the Ides of March, which is the global walkout for climate change that the young people are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right outside of where I work at City Hall, there was a huge climate strike.
I gotta say, I have this weird feeling, and Justin and Subo knew me in high school. I feel like you can vouch for this, which is like I kind of feel like the hipster that was into these bands 10-15 years ago, and now they're blowing up. I'm like, I was into them back before it was cool. Socialism and climate awareness, and now it's blowing up. And I'm like, I'm happy, and I'm just happy. There's no drawback. It's really nice. I'm just kind of mad that it couldn't have happened when I was young, because I just had to keep. It was like being closeted, being socialist. It was like this little dirty secret I had to keep to myself. Except I would tell anyone who would listen.
Could have been the cool kid.
Could have been the cool guy. Now I'm just a lame. Now I'm going to be like, hey guys, I'm with you. And they're going to be like, shut up, dad, man.
Shut up, white guy with beard.
Fuck your cis white agenda. You're trying to co-opt our social movement. I'll be like, all right, fine. You right. I'll go home.
Do we want to talk about the other thing?
Yeah. Justin, you seem really depressed. How about you describe it?
How about you talk about the other horrible thing?
No.
Somebody else.
Subo, you got it.
Is it the
I can take this one if Subo does not want to.
Let's see what Subo does with it.
I don't watch much news, but apparently the one thing that I know that was terrible that happened is a shooting of in a mosque, I believe, in New Zealand.
Correct.
Yeah, not so good. And I believe the guy he was praising Trump.
It's a little bit, yes.
Yeah, but that's about all I know.
Take it away, Frank. Briefly.
There was a shooting at multiple locations in Christchurch, New Zealand. what was yesterday to New Zealand and today in our hemisphere. A guy, his name was released because unfortunately he sort of designed his shooting to be very internet ready. He had a helmet on with a camera, and he recorded the entire thing on the camera and streamed it. And he was like posting it on Facebook as he was doing it. So the guy's name is Brenton Tarrant. He's a 28-year-old Australian who was very heavily influenced by right-wing meme culture and 4chan and like a lot of that sort of heavily online internet fascist right-wing culture, which it traffics heavily in memes, and like their sort of shared language is a lot of memes and usually neo-Nazi memes and sort of far-right fascist memes. So he, on his assault weapons, he scrawled sort of with a mix of fascist people. He also scrawled like memes and like Heil Hitler and 1488 and things like that. And when he was taken into custody by the authorities in New Zealand, he did this hand symbol, the OK hand symbol, which has been adopted by fascists as a fascist sort of shibboleth. And he did so when he was streaming. He simultaneously released a manifesto where he talked about his life online and used a lot of like right-wing troll language while he was taking part in these attacks. He called Donald Trump sort of like this is not exact language. I would have to read this fucking psychopath's writing, and I don't want to, and I'm not going to. But he called like Donald Trump a sort of kindred spirit in white identity, but thought he was a terrible leader. And he cited right-wing talking points about Muslims and their sort of encroachment onto white European identity, and how he was doing it to exterminate the threat to white people.
So that's where I kind of, this whole thing really gets my goat. I mean, obviously every part of this thing gets my goat. But the fact that this happened in New Zealand, of all places, and a place that didn't have people on it until around 1300, and then all those people were Maori people, and now,
he was Australian.
Yeah, that's the other part, that he himself was a freaking immigrant to Australia, a place itself a nation of immigrants, except for the Aboriginal people, obviously. So the Maori make up 20% of the population in New Zealand, and obviously I don't know off the top of my head, what the indigenous population of Australia is, but I imagine it's pretty substantial. And just the notion of white nationalism by a transplant to a nation of transplants, where the indigenous population is very substantial and integral to their culture, and it's just that's
the thing about it, though. Like it's these ideologies that obviously don't hold up under any logic or scrutiny or anything, and they don't. It doesn't matter that they do to these people. They are just signing on hook, line, and sinker to it with pure just hate in their heart. With as you were saying, with a desire for infamy. With
streaming it and
exactly, it's I think it's a sickness in this world that is maybe not new, but growing stronger and stranger every day. And I don't know how you stop it. There's
No, go ahead.
I don't know. It's
entirely possible that the internet was a mistake.
Well, it's allowing people to be as strange as they want to be, I think. You can really can get into any niche environment that you want to be in, basically, with the internet now. I mean,
for sure, especially with sites like 4chan.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, so the other website aside from 4chan that he was deeply involved with is YouTube. YouTube is a major platform for right-wing talking points. A lot of like really insane right-wing people, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, PewDiePie, and even the more fringe people like there's a guy who calls himself a golden god. He's like a Scandinavian dude who talks about the purity of the white race and whatnot. Red pill guys, MRAs, all those fucking lunatics. They make their bones on YouTube because they keep getting chased off other social media platforms. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cite PewDiePie as a right-wing person. I don't think he is a right-wing person at heart. I think he's just an asshole who uses racist language. Yeah. But unfortunately, this guy, when he was streaming his mass murder of Muslims in a mosque, as a meme, said, "Subscribe to PewDiePie."
Oh, so fucking Christ.
So, sorry, dude. I'm sure you're an okay person at heart, PewDiePie, but you got to reckon with that shit.
I mean, that's the thing. It's all pure nihilism. That whole entire culture, and it's not just that. It's not just it's over so much of everything is this fucking nihilism, where based on just uncertainty of everything. All right, I'm gonna stop.
It's tough. And the social media is reeling. So Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, everybody, they've taken down the video, but the cat's out of the bag. It's already being copied and duplicated.
There, yeah.
It's out there. It's going to live on the dark web forever now. Our space dicks. You'll see it. And the conversation I heard, now obviously these weren't representatives from YouTube or Facebook, but I heard a little discussion of it on NPR earlier. And they're saying things like restricting who has access to live streaming. But of course, the antecedent to that is that live streaming is an incredibly powerful tool for fighting abuse of power by things like the police and in repressive states like in Venezuela right now, where we're seeing Periscope as one of the essential tools for the, quote, Firefly movement, where there's no established media, but a bunch of independent journalists in Venezuela are trying to illuminate the country as individual fireflies. That's their metaphor. And the tool they're using is live streaming. There's been so many shootings of young black men in this country that I forget who specifically, but obviously live streaming of these events has been tremendously important to one case in particular. Maybe I'll punch it in right there. So we don't have any good answers, because if we start censoring who can do it, then it's like saying not everyone should be allowed to vote, which feels really good and right after a stupid populist movement. But at the same time, you start thinking if we disallow certain people from voting, then you think it's just going to be used to oppress certain groups. And it's the same with any kind of restriction on freedom. But we don't have any good answers for this internet problem.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. It's the internet in so many ways is the ultimate freedom, and there are so many trade-offs that come with that level of freedom that I don't think we're ever going to fully be able to get a handle on it.
Have I done my spiel? I've done this in person to everybody, I feel like, but have I done my spiel on like Let It Gasoline and the internet on the show?
Yes, you've done that. You've done it on the show.
Okay, good. Then I don't need to do it again.
Okay. That was like a couple of weeks ago.
To recap.
Yeah.
Let It Gasoline has like a 1-to-1 correlation between low IQ, violent crime, incarceration, all this shit. I think we're seeing a mass public health effect of psychological proportions or psychological affliction caused by the internet. This will be remembered as the internet time.
Yeah.
I know I'm addicted as fuck to it.
Yeah, we all.
I am too.
Justin has.
I'm sorry.
He's booted down for the night.
You can see Justin go.
He's like. Sorry, we're gonna talk about happier things on the show.
No, we are not. So just I don't know what this is, but this was a weird coincidence because this past week I got onto a New Zealand kick. I got really interested in New Zealand, and obviously it's a country of immense and almost seemingly deliberate natural beauty, cartoonish natural beauty. I'm an atheist through and through, but it's so beautiful it can make you think in intelligent design. It's just a weird, unique, wonderful place that seems to have its head screwed on right, and the whole world loves New Zealand, and rightfully so. Couldn't have happened in a worse place, and it makes sense that it wasn't a Kiwi who did it. So, I don't know. We love you, New Zealand, from the Plaid Lads. If you're listening in New Zealand,
hearts out to New Zealand, and to Muslim people in the community there and around the world. We love you and support you. I hear some music.
I'll
Not that
say
music.
goodbye to love. No one ever can if I should. I started too high.
Yeah. I'll say goodbye to
Not that music either. This week on the pod, we watched the Todd Haynes short film Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story. It was a film that he shot when he was in college and that he was subsequently sued for very quickly. So it's not a movie that you can get through legal means, but it is on YouTube. And it's only 45 minutes long, so you should watch it.
That's how we watched it.
Yeah. It's a movie that, so like a little BTS tip, there are movies that the Plaid Lads have designated should be in the Criterion. This is a movie that should be, it's not a full-length movie, so it would be like a bonus feature on a Todd Haynes disc for some reason, because it's, it's only 45 minutes long, but just put it on there, people. It's a really excellent piece of filming. Yeah. What has always struck me is that, like, right out the gate,
it's amazing.
He did Velvet Goldmine. He did a few things.
He did a movie called Safe, which is one of my all-time favorite films.
Did he do I'm Not There?
He did,
which is a great film.
The Bob Dylan biopic.
He did a movie called Far From Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
He did a miniseries remake of Mildred Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
He did what was that other crazy movie he did in the 90s?
Hackers? Todd Haynes, he did Hackers, right?
Wayne's World?
Wayne's World.
He did not do Hackers. Or Wayne's World. Wayne's World was Penelope Spheris. God damn it!
I'm trying to lighten the mood, Frank. We have a man down.
Justin, do you want to talk about Wayne's World?
No.
Party time.
Todd Haynes also did Carol, which is an excellent film.
I love this film. This is like maybe the third or fourth time I've seen it. I think it's a wonderfully made and approachably avant-garde, if you get what I mean.
So this movie, basically, okay, we watched it on YouTube. Let me ask the room here. Has anybody seen it in any other way?
No.
I'm looking at you, Frank.
I don't know. I don't think at current there is probably not another available way to see it. you could see it. This was a movie that got traded around on VHS.
Yes. Yeah. I was that's why I bring this up, because it's a movie that beyond the actual viewing, beyond the content of the movie, the story of how you manage to see it is typically a story as well. Because obviously it was squashed by Dick Carpenter and never got a proper release. And the YouTube video is just, it's like early YouTube. It's really low.
It looks pretty bad.
Really highly compressed.
I could not read the texts on a good portion of it.
That's partially just the filmmaking itself.
Because it was black text.
On often a black background.
Yeah.
There was
but it wasn't helped by the degradation.
Yeah.
So this film is called Superstar: The Karen Carpenter Story because it is about Karen Carpenter of the Carpenters. It is primarily filmed using Barbie and Ken dolls, although there are human beings in a few crucial sequences, one of which is the opening sequence, which involves the finding of Karen Carpenter's dead body. And there are like little interstitial interviews, which are always like my favorite thing about this movie because I think they're so cool. Yeah. But it is primarily cast using Barbie dolls that are voiced. One of the reasons why it was hit with a lawsuit and why you can't find it is that it uses the music of the Carpenters directly. Like it just splices in the Carpenters music right there with sort of no concern for copyright or anything like that. But in addition to being a movie about Karen Carpenter, it is also a movie about anorexia and anorexia's effect on women and women's psychology and what it does to women in general and famous women in particular. And it is this sort of really compassionate argument against the societal standards that make anorexia prevalent among young women. And I think the prevailing argument that the movie makes is that if society didn't have these standards, Karen Carpenter would be alive.
I'm not sure if I disagree that I'm not sure if I disagree with that statement or that I disagree that the movie made that statement. Because I feel like with Karen Carpenter, and I feel like the movie portrayed it this way, where it was she had no control over her life, which is so often the theme with anorexic folk.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a way for them to establish control. And I'm not sure it talked too much about like beauty standards and body standards and things like that. I could be wrong. I've also just been researching the life of Karen Carpenter from other sources, so I could be crossing my wires here a little.
Yeah, I think I'm sure it can be like a catalyst for anorexia, the body image thing. But yeah, I think the predominant thing that they were trying to show was that as a way of control over their life, like because her family was so controlling over her, it just made it it was one thing that she could take control over, I think. And so that's definitely something that parents need to watch with their kids, I think. And I believe the movie did raise some awareness to this.
And really, like, early in the consciousness of what anorexia was. Like, anorexia is a thing that we know very commonly now, but this movie was made in, 1987?
Really? Not too long after her death. Which is
not long after her death. And anorexia nervosa as a thing was probably not something that was in the public consciousness that much at all, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
So the fact that there was a portion of this movie which defines specifically anorexia nervosa, what it is and what it does, is kind of like innovative.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I'm sitting here thinking, obviously I wasn't alive at the time, but it must have been partially traumatic for the United States. And this is something I feel like the movie really engaged with, which is that the Carpenters represented everything kind of safe and reliable.
Yes.
Exactly. The Silent Majority's music act, brother and sister singing about being in love with people that you hope aren't a brother and sister.
Stop singing about love songs. Jesus Christ.
And Alabama. And then to basically have to watch this woman wither away in the public eye. And there are public interviews, where she's being confronted with having anorexia and she denies it. And then to have her pass away at 32 years old, like a downright tragedy, it must have been somewhat jarring, especially to people who would be fans of the Carpenters. Sort of original, non-ironic, initial, genuine fans of the Carpenters to have this happen.
Yes.
Because we're all, in the modern age, with a little time and a little irony to digest it, we're all fans of the Carpenters here.
Yeah, and like that's the other weirdly innovative thing about this movie is this movie was like engaging with that post-ironic Carpenters fandom pretty much right after she died. Because it has those interstitials where people talk, like, it has these stage sequences where these probably, like, college actors read these lines about, criticism of the Carpenters and, like, theory of the Carpenters and why people like their music or dislike their music. And even back then, it was clear that, like, there was this predominant theory that they were, you know, too square, too squeaky clean. Everything was so artificial that...
Yeah, a lot of people didn't trust them, right?
Yeah, you either embrace that artificiality or you don't. And I go back and forth. Like, one of my feelings about the Carpenters sometimes is there was there's one sequence where, like, a lady in, like, a beret is like, the Carpenters represented the moral majority in America, and, like, that's the Reagan era, and I never trusted them. And it's like... Yeah, like, I always kind of felt that way about the Carpenters. Like, it wasn't until I got that post-ironic thing of, like, oh, it's supposed to be about that I got past this is just music for people who voted for Richard Nixon.
There's something, and they talk about it. They obviously, because they've always, and she in particular, Karen Carpenter, has always had her supporters and people who got it even while it was happening, and that's because there is something immutable there about her voice. And there was a critic of her who said, one of the interstitials where I never trusted them. She had this deep, sophisticated voice. You know, this girl with bangs, you know, which were not cool back then, I guess. Not puffy enough for the 80s. But sort of the sadness and soul with which she's conveyed these songs, these like Burt Bacharach songs, and, you know, kind of saccharine stuff. Although Burt Bacharach's pretty great, I don't know.
Agreed.
Kind of transcended all of the cornball shittiness of Dick Carpenter, a true monster.
Dick stands for penis.
Justin, you've been very silent. Would you like to talk about this film?
It made me cry the whole time. Filmically, it's a fascinating, fucking weird movie.
Weird as shit. The opening.
It's weirdly put together.
Out of the movies we've done, it reminds me a shit ton of Hexon. It's this pseudo documentary dramatization, but with all of it keeps knocking you upside your head whenever it changes its point of view, and whenever it's mostly at the beginning. There might be a few moments in the middle, and then at the end when it goes into a POV shot, which, skipping to the end, one of the most powerful filmed things I've ever seen is the POV shot of Karen Carpenter taking the ipecac that killed her.
Yes.
And it puts you... It's so much of this film is distanced. You're distanced from it, including the characters being portrayed by Barbie dolls. But the impulse of the film is so fucking empathetic. The core of it, even though it's not playing or showing its empathy so much on the outside. And that's true of a lot of Todd Haynes' work. I don't necessarily love all of it, but I appreciate the fuck out of him as a filmmaker. You know what I mean? He tries shit.
Yeah, he's like a top tier.
Yeah.
One of my all-time faves for me. Safe, this one, Velvet Goldmine, Carol. Like he really always has knocked it out of the park for me. But what always strikes me about this movie is that it was a student film.
Yeah.
But it was a student film. Like, you always roll your eyes at student films. This was a student film with perspective that was made with obvious skill, that had a point of view that, was made with considerable intelligence. You could tell out of the gate that Todd Haynes was the real deal, just in terms of filmmaking chops when he made this. From the opening sequence, which is like clearly this David Lynch disturbing thing with the distorted voice and the black and white, and finding Karen Carpenter's Barbie doll body. It's nuts.
It seems to be a theme in a lot of the films we do, and maybe it's just a great theme in general, which is sort of the sickening, threatening nature of mid-century American kitsch.
Yeah.
And this movie played... I just want to bring attention to a few things in this movie. So one thing is the way that this movie allowed itself to be very loose and nebulous with the way it would stitch in quick little jump cuts. When they would, in moments of emotional tension, they would have these like quick cut kind of things to like a mushroom cloud or bombs dropping in Vietnam, sort of showing the underpinnings of tension and tumult that were hidden underneath this very thin, faltering veneer of American kitschy pop culture. A great element, and that would be detached from the narrative in these sort of, Haxon-esque sort of expositional things. And one of them that was really kind of weird, and I wasn't sure if it was just the YouTube lifting. I think Subo a while ago mentioned the black text, but there was it was a voiceover that was describing the post-Second World War food boom. Yes. Meanwhile, there was an on-screen text scroll describing anorexia nervosa and the relationship with the body. That it was black text, and the what was visually on the screen was a slow dolly shot going through an American supermarket, and there would be areas of darkness that would completely obscure the black text. And it seemed very deliberate, like it was letting you read certain segments at certain times, and it was just, we're getting two streams of expositional information that's being very thoughtfully interrupted, and it's just a moment of brilliance. One thing I wanted to bring up, I really wish I had read this book. So there a thing that might have been lost to us watching this really low-grade compressed YouTube video is that supposedly the Barbie doll figures were manipulated through the course of the film to look differently.
Yeah, I didn't really catch that on mine.
Yeah.
Supposedly that's something that if you're one of the privileged few that you've seen a higher def version of it that you're more aware of, but apparently as the film goes along, sort of the body dysmorphic grotesqueness of appearances is added with sort of changes to the dolls themselves using like plaster and markers and things.
Yeah, you know what, Richard Carpenter? Fuck off with your lawsuits. Let Todd Haynes release this on a proper format so that it can be restored. Let's see this movie the way it was meant to be seen.
Patriarchy killed Karen Carpenter.
He probably did.
Let's charge it with murder and lock it up.
Throw away the key. Don't you but love me, baby.
blah 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 blah.
Rainy days and Sundays always get me down.
All right, let's go from talking about this depressing film about the Carpenters to talking
depressing music of the Carpenters. Fellas, even though it's Friday, Christopher Walken would like to talk about
everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
rainy days and Sundays.
Partying,
And
partying.
Saturdays.
Yeah, partying.
Yeah.
Fun.
I don't understand the reference that you're making.
Frank, get a life. Wake up, will you? Plug in. Surf the...
Tune in,
Surf-
turn on, drop out, as my generation would say.
When's Kevin Pollak going down? I've been waiting a decade for that.
I've been waiting.
Kevin Pollak, you gotta get Me Too'd so that people stop doing Christopher Walken impressions.
Can't we just cut to the chase and Me Too, Christopher Walken?
Yeah.
No, he didn't do anything bad. He was just on the boat when Natalie Wood died.
No. He grew up in a generation where rape was called a French hello. My apologies to the French
Kevin
race.
Pollak on the podcast.
I'm reading the Shirley Jackson biography, and she was married to a man who believed that rape doesn't exist because that's just foreplay for the woman, because all women want that. And I'm just heartbroken for Shirley Jackson.
Yeah, she died when she was like 54.
Yeah.
She died way too young. And I think that had a lot to do with her traumatic life and what you do when you have a traumatic life.
Yeah, great
Which is drink.
Wait, does that mean I'm traumatized? Yeah, probably. All right, this week on the pod, we did, shocker, the 1971 album, third studio album by the Carpenters called Carpenters. No article, it's just called Carpenters, parentheses, album. It was the third one. It came out May 14th, 1971. It beat Let It Be by the Beatles.
Good.
For best
Good, that's a bad album.
Yeah.
Grammy award. It includes all the good ones, all the ones you want to hear, all the songs you care about. Rainy Days and Mondays, Superstar. It's close to you on this? I don't think it is.
It's on it.
No, Close to You isn't on this one. That's a shame.
It's not.
That's a great
It's
song.
definitely not.
We could talk about that. We're not doing any more Carpenters records.
We're doing literally just this one. And the only reason why we're doing this one is because we did Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story.
Let's just, you know what, guys? I have an invisible script, and I'm throwing it out the window because we're just having a freewheel and talk about the Carpenters, their whole thing.
I love the Carpenters. I came to the Carpenters, I feel kind of in a weird way, in that I missed all of the irony, because and people of our age, I'm sure, vinyl records used to be a thing that were stupid and lame and were just in your basement.
Yep.
And you didn't spend $60 for them. But you still had the working apparatuses, and there were all these strange... Exactly.
There's a stack of two of them in my in our vicinity right now.
And I would listen to things like... a Bossa Nova compilation, or the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem.
The best of bread.
The best
Hell
of
yeah.
bread. I listened to a lot of, and then I continued to collect the rest of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana
Brass.
You listened to a lot of that first album with the lady who was covered in whipped cream.
Yes, I did.
Whipped cream and other delights.
Staring at that
Especially
cover.
in his teenage years.
I prefer the parody record.
Yes.
But I included among those, as I'm sure everybody had, were
Get the Knack.
yes,
Yeah, Get the Knack was everywhere.
but also the Carpenters, and I've been a big fan since before Juno.
Yes. Well, the fucking thing about Juno is the version of that they use is the Sonic Youth cover.
Yeah.
That they dance to and fucking fart in my face. Jason Reitman and Diablo Cody, get fucked. Stupid.
I know I own some. I either own the Carpenters record we reviewed or a Chicago record that looks virtually identical.
Yeah.
Probably the same.
That's a great record too.
Chicago is what, 25 or 64?
Yeah.
We'll do that next week. Anyway, continue, Justin.
I also had a lot of Greek music. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Talking about Carpenters, dude.
I'm looking at my vinyl collection now.
We're getting you some souvlaki, and we're some ouzo, and we're really going to town.
I sang a Carpenter song at my brother's wedding.
He did.
This is back in the heady days before everybody had smartphones. So in the hotel room, hours before, I had to call my good friend Steven Suboleski to tell me the lyrics. He was not near a computer at the time, so we shared a love of the Carpenters. So between the two of us, we came up with the lyrics for...
hopefully we got him right. I don't
yeah.
Why listen promises?
Sorry, I'm just digging through my vinyl crate and I just found my copy of Kiss Alive and Get the Knack.
Boom.
Kiss Alive.
Everybody's got it.
Will stand by Kiss Alive a little bit.
Let me bring up, would we be... honestly... It's weird. It's weird how events and history and biography affect music. Would we be talking about her if she didn't die in such a sad way? If she didn't have...
Yeah, probably. Because the music is there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think one of the... I've been also just researching the life of Karen Carpenter. And I just get so fucking angry. I get
because she deserved to live longer.
We deserved her. Okay. Here's the thing about Karen Carpenter. If she wasn't under so much pressure from her family and the weird cadre of producers and songwriters that sort of kept that Frankenstein's monster alive, she would have been left to her own devices and probably would have quit music. She wasn't that into it.
Or she loved drumming. Or she would have been...
Yeah. She would have been like a studio drummer.
One of the great unknown... She would have been interviewed in one of those documentaries nowadays.
Like the Wrecking Crew. Like that guy who just died.
Exactly.
She would have played with fucking Toto.
Yeah.
She's an amazing drummer. I'm pretty sure she drums on all Carpenter's records and would play live. I think this is the first record where they struck a deal where she couldn't sit behind the kit on ballads, but she would play for the up-tempo songs. But also, I didn't know this, but apparently, once things started slowing down a bit and Dick Carpenter got addicted to Quaaludes...
well, everybody did back then.
You know, it was the thing to do. In the late 70s, Karen Carpenter recorded an entire disco album. An entire thing. I'm not saying she said, I want to make a disco album there, like that's a bad idea. I'm saying she hired musicians, had the songs, tracked it, and then she brought it to their management team, which included Herb Alpert, by the way, and Dick Carpenter, and they listened to it, hated it, and convinced her to squash it. And talk about like wanting to exert control over your life. I think I just get angry that it was this control over her that killed her, and that we were denied decades more of that voice and that delivery, and what corners she would have been able to explore if she was free of that shit.
Speaking of this discussion, speaking of incredible virtuoso musicians who were denied a voice and who died of things that they shouldn't have died, and you can cut this out and we can put this in a future episode. Are you guys familiar with Arthur Russell?
Possibly.
He was like a disco musician and cellist in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and he died of AIDS.
I think so. It's
and he was like a producer. He worked with Philip Glass. Very similar story, but just let's dock at Arthur Russell for the future. He's somebody we should talk about.
So, fellas, and we can also cut this out if it doesn't pan out. Isn't it true that 1 year for somebody's mother, for Subo's mother, as a gift for either Mother's Day or her birthday?
I'll take over for this for a second. The three men sitting here in a row used to be in a punk rock and roll band. Called The Heads. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it because I want to see this fucking documentary.
Yes, we'll get to it.
You guys better send me this documentary.
You've made a film before, Justin. This is the first film you made.
That's true. Edited.
Counts.
Tom on guitar, Subo on vocals, me on drums. There's a specific drum fill from
every live song that we played.
Well, from one specific Carpenter song. I don't remember.
The Carpenter song, yeah.
That I would use all the time. One day after one night after a not so great show, Tom quit the band in anger.
I had enough.
He had enough. And so Steven Suboleski,
very Tom Donahue move.
and
we decided to continue the torch here.
Yeah, Subo and I decided, you know what? Fuck this shit. And we went to our buddy Sage's house and recorded 2 Carpenters songs for Subo's mother's birthday.
No, not even her birthday. For Christmas.
For Christmas.
So all she got that year were...
That was her Christmas gift.
Now, you might think that a gift for Subo's mother would include Subo singing lead vocals.
Oh, but that's where you go wrong.
That's where you go wrong. I was the full package of Karen Carpenter, drumming and vocals.
Did I sing it all? Like, I think I sang the chorus, maybe.
I think you have to look for it.
We're gonna get the footage.
We're gonna get the real thing.
The
there is footage. There is footage of you guys recording that.
There's also footage. Yeah.
Let the contact Sage LoBianco get a hold of that. So we've got a long storied history of the Carpenters, which is why Mr. Suboleski here is our guest this eve.
Indeed.
What's your relationship to the Carpenters?
Subo? You asking me?
Yeah, Subo.
Well, so it's an interesting. It's a weird relationship, I guess, because it started off as dislike.
Interesting.
Because my mother is a fan. I got her the gift, right? So when I was a kid, she would listen to it all the time, and I would get annoyed by it because I wanted to do other things or whatever. You're bothering me, Mother. So
would she sit you down and make you listen?
Come here,
to it?
come here, Steven.
We live under the same roof, you know. So she's playing it in the kitchen or whatever, and I'm trying to watch TV or whatever.
Okay.
You know, but no. As I grew and matured, I grew to really appreciate Karen Carpenter as a person and as a singer, especially her voice is about as close to perfect as you can get. I would say, given the range that she had, I'm just saying the pure voice itself. And she's an amazing drummer as well. So
yeah, she is.
And the only problem with it is Dick. He's I'm always digging the song, and then Dick does something weird where he's like, "What do you?"
His name is Richard Carpenter, but we're calling him Dick.
We call him Dick because Dick stands for penis.
Call him Dick.
The penis, which is the inferior genital.
There are no such thing as inferior genitals.
That's true. That's accurate. I'm sorry.
All genitals are A-okay.
That's
my Dick Carpenter impression.
Yeah, so that's pretty. I mean, and I don't know. We can't say for sure that the movie that's how he actually acted because it's a dramatization. But
he is pretty stiff, Ken doll like.
Yeah.
He does suck pretty bad.
Yeah.
He does suck. Including the song Saturday.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
Jump cut, too.
It's goofy as shit.
It is really doofy.
Frank, what do you think of the Carpenters? What is your relationship to this band?
So my relationship to the Carpenters, I talked about it a little bit when we talked about Superstar, is that it kind of mirrored that one sort of lady that they do when they're talking about people's reaction to the Carpenters' music. For a while, my reaction to the Carpenters was always like, there's too much artifice. It seems like, like Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Middle America, Nixon, Republican music. And then you learn to appreciate the artifice and you appreciate the musicality of it. You appreciate the skill that goes into it. And then the artifice becomes genuine. Mm-hmm. Like you realize, I'm not just appreciating the artifice, I'm appreciating the genuine feeling here. Like, this is real shit.
Yeah.
But it's real shit with a polish. And like, when you get down to that level and you realize that, no, like, the artifice is part of the point to get to the real stuff of why this music works the way that it does. That cultivates a genuine appreciation for these songs. And like, Rainy Days and Mondays, like, that's a classic song. It's always on AM radio or easy listening or whatever. But like, that's some sad shit.
Yeah.
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 It's some sad shit. Like, it goes to real places.
Like, real, true, dark places. I think that's in my like mid-teenage years, that's what I legitimately actually grasped onto, because it is like melodramatic and there's all of that, but when they go dark, they go dark.
Like, it's real, and like the feelings are real, and they are couched in this sort of arch musicality and cleanliness, but it's fucking real. And like, it's made more real by the fact that Karen Carpenter died before she should have died.
See, that's what I was kind of getting at, is like, what if she hadn't died? Would we be speaking of it like this if Kurt Cobain hadn't died?
Yeah, I think so. I think we would speak about those early Nirvana records the same way if Kurt Cobain hadn't died. I think we would talk about the Carpenters the same way if Karen Carpenter hadn't died. But like, I think the fact that she died the way that she did, unfortunately, like, adds another layer to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, we still talk about the feelings in early Bob Dylan records the same way, and he's fucking 89 or whatever he is now.
Well, I mean, imagine, honestly, not us right now, just you listening at home. We'll move right on. But imagine he died in that motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Like would he have been like a mythic James Dean figure?
Yeah, maybe.
He so doesn't deserve that.
No. He's an embarrassing old man.
He doesn't deserve to die. He deserves his stature in the culture, to be clear.
So it's like, yeah, no, like the sadness and the archness of the music is genuine, but like the same goes in the other emotional direction, like sing a song, sing it loud, sing it strong, sing of good things, not bad, sing of happy,
not sad.
Boom, 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 boom.
Who cares if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear? Just sing a song.
Wasn't that on The Simpsons?
I was all on The Simpsons. Remember their doorbell was close to you?
Yeah.
That's a great
I've been
song.
rewatching a lot of old Simpsons lately. I don't know
Me
why.
too.
Same here.
But that song is also the Marge and Homer song in all the flashback episodes, and it's really sad when will have a montage when a Homer is separated from Marge, and they'll play that song. It breaks your heart.
No, they keep resetting the Homer and Marge relationship.
I know. I'm talking about canon Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about the fucking hate crime that is modern Simpsons.
Like, they recently reset it again to, like, the late 90s.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourselves. Honestly, go fuck yourselves, Matt Groening.
Why is that show still on the air? Preserve the first 10 years of that show and then just be done with it.
9 years.
No,
I say 10.
I put it at 7. I know. I know there is great stuff after that. I think it was season 7. I know there's great stuff after it, and it feels
I think You
a little
Only
bad.
Move Twice comes after 7.
Exactly, and it's hard. But if the series finale was the summer of 4 foot, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a perfect series finale. Do a perfect thing. I know we're cutting out a lot of great shit in the next couple seasons, but what are we talking about?
We're talking about Frasier.
Dr. Frasier Crane is nominated for a CB award, and he wants to win that award, but does he win that award? He doesn't win that award. Who wins that award? A couple people win that award, but it wasn't him. It wasn't the old guy there. This is it, Frasier, season 18, episode whatever. Who wins? Who loses? We're all gonna die.
And the Whimper is the name of the episode. So here's my question for you, lads.
Yes.
The plot of this episode is as follows. Frasier and Roz are nominated for
I think went over it.
Stay in your lane, Frank.
You kind of spat it out there.
Justin was all over that thing.
The plot of the episode is that Frasier is nominated for a broadcasting award, et cetera, and Roz is also nominated for the award, and the person she takes as her date is Noel.
Yes.
The Star Trek nerd. Here's my question for you guys. We're all Subo. I don't know how you feel about this particular television program, Star Trek.
Oh,
But when it comes to the representation of Noel on this show, the thing I keep thinking is, are we like this?
The
answer is yes.
Yes.
Like, are we him? Are we this guy?
Pretty
Are
much.
we trying to get Frasier to get the keys because of our night blindness?
I have been complaining about how it's harder for me to drive at night. I think we've established that I'm the Viking barista. Frank, you are definitely Noel.
Thank you.
And I'm
Season 7 or 8.
What?
I'm the stoner guy from season 7 or 8. The loser guy.
Oh, that's cute.
No, I'm the loser guy.
I'm the guy who appears in the next episode, which is the oft mentioned on the podcast grunge guy.
Is Grunge Guy finally in the fucking show?
He's not. He doesn't exist.
He is in the next episode of the series. He brings in Martin's chair.
Yes.
He's like, oh, whoa, man. Whoa, I'm a 90s guy.
Fuck you, Justin. I'm Cam Winston.
You are not Cam Winston,
You are
sir.
the Cam Winston to my Frasier Crane.
You, sir, are no Cam Winston.
I think I did have my heart did sink a little this time watching it when he gave the Spock Vulcan salute, and it was a joke.
That is why I asked.
Yeah, that was the punchline.
That is why I asked. Like, we're not that guy.
We're modern, hip, awesome TNG bros. We're not original series.
Original series guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those original series nerds, they're the worst.
Totally not us.
TNG guys. Shut up, Subo. You play sports.
Yeah, you play sports and are married to a woman.
I can't deny those things.
What is it? Farklar.
Fecklar. Oh,
literally at all.
Here's something about Frasier. So I watched the Star Trek episode where
we can't even.
We literally went this whole episode and we talked about Frasier for 30 seconds.
We just the only thing we said about this episode was a segue into Star Trek.
We mentioned that it happened, and then we talked about Star Trek.
Here's the thing about Frasier.
I think this is a wonderful episode.
It is good.
Kelsey Grammer was once on TNG. Go.
I laughed out loud. I think this episode one has the best ending so far to an episode. I loved it that Frasier is consoling a crying Roz, and he says, "I'm not going to leave here until you have a smile on your face." And then a sexy lady comes up and says, "I'm a big fan." And Frasier is trying to convince Roz, like, "I think I see a smile there."
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
Frasier
also
has no shame.
This has a lot of BB Glazer.
I didn't like her in this episode.
Really? Like, I think her performance is always so on point.
Yeah.
Like she's always like in it, that actress.
Yeah. I think she's...
That I appreciate that.
But I don't think... I think they get a little crazier with her as the seasons go on.
I think her character is better when she is less an abhorrent person, which is what she is in this episode.
Yeah.
It's more like an absurd thing. Because, like, in this episode, this is a person that could probably exist and you would hate.
Yeah.
In future episodes, it's more of a comedic extreme.
She goes around the corner. There's an episode where they co-host a morning wake-up show.
With the monkey. I think I've mentioned it before.
With a crane.
No, that's a different
where
episode.
The immortal joke comes from, well, I think you could have a deposit on those crane sedatives.
Boo. Boo earns.
I was saying Boo earns.
I was just talking about The Simpsons and Star Trek. We are so stuck in the fucking 90s.
It's Mr. Snurub.
Don't cry for me. I'm already dead.
No.
All right.
Shake harder, boy.
The goggles, they do nothing. Up and at them. Up and at them. Up and at them. Can we just talk about The Simpsons?
Just keep quoting it.
What a beautiful day. I think I'll go out the window.
In a way, you are all winners. In another, more accurate way, Barney is the winner.
Only who can prevent forest fires? You've selected you, meaning me. That is wrong. The correct answer is you.
I'm sorry to announce our rebrand. We're just going to be a Simpsons quote podcast.
Yeah, a quote
We're going to
machine.
quote The Simpsons for about an hour and a half, I guess.
I tasted the herbal berries. They taste like burning.
Flex with a wet noodle, Bart. Anyway.
Time for recommendation.
Let's recommend a thing to you. I've got a couple things in
Okay, so our recommendations are: what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you enjoying this week?
As is evident through this recorded message going out to you in cyberspace, I'm very, very depressed right now. This weekend, I'm going to be doing something that is sure to cheer me up, and I've been waiting a good long while for it. Queer Eye Season 3 back on Netflix. Get into it. I'm very excited.
Are they going to Japan for this one or the next one?
No, they went to, I think, North Carolina for the season, but they filmed a special in Japan that will be released at some point. And I've been watching Haunting of Hill House. And
that's apparently a really good show.
It's good so far. And I've got Game of Thrones coming up. So much to live for. So much television to watch.
My girlfriend actually just recently saw Jonathan Van Ness. He just did like a one-man show in the area. And unfortunately, apparently it was terrible.
Was it? He's been trying like stand-up and stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, he didn't do anything for most of it. He had his like stand-up friends do stand-up, and then he did like gymnastics, and then didn't do anything. Yeah, she was like, if I had known what it was, I wouldn't have spent money on it. Yeah.
It's a shame.
But anyway, Queer Eye is the current iteration of Queer Eye is a great show, though.
It is.
Subo, what do you recommend?
Well, One Strange Rock, I would recommend. It's a Netflix show. Will Smith narrating, and it follows 8 astronauts and their experiences above the Earth, looking at Earth from space, and kind of the perspective that it gave them. And it shows a bunch of cool stuff about how the Earth works. So nice. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I dig that.
I have been watching a lot of Forged in Fire still, but I'm not going to recommend Forged in Fire again, even though Tom, I know,
fully fucking endorse this recommendation.
That you are a fellow Forged in Fire boy.
Oh yeah.
Forged in Fire is a great show.
Oh, is that the one where they make weapons? And
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that is entertaining. Yeah.
It's an excellent show, but I'm not going to recommend it twice. What I am going to recommend is the just newly collected run of Tom King on Mr. Miracle. He was a guy who did a couple of comics for Marvel. His version of The Vision
is amazing.
Incredible. He is also the current writer on Batman. He's doing a lot of really great work on Batman, but Mr. Miracle is sort of a continuation of a lot of what he did on Vision and Batman, where he talks about trauma and mental illness and what it means to carry trauma throughout most of your life. And he just decided to do it through a sort of obscure DC superhero. And it is really fucking sad and intense and real. And it's the art by Mitch Gerads is incredible, and it's probably one of the best comics I've read in recent memory.
Nice. I've heard great things.
Yeah, it's really good. You would like it in particular, Justin.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to recommend something that has been on my mind because it's always great and it's always been a wonderful thing in my life. Talking about college radio. And in particular, I'm going to talk about 2 stations. The first station I'm going to recommend, I don't care where you live, go on the internet, stream them. I'm talking about WPRB Princeton. 103.3 on the FM dial if you're in range. They are, for me, here on the East Coast, these guys are my homies. I love them. I'm going to recommend Double Plus Good but Lisbot. I'm going to recommend Rock with John Solomon. I'm going to recommend Oops, I Inked Again. I'm going to recommend These Vibes Are Too Cosmic. I'm going to recommend Hometown Boombox. I'm going to recommend all their fucking shows. I love them. They've turned me on to so many things over the years. I've spent so many great nights just driving home from wherever with the dial set to 103.3. It is my dream to have my music on there someday. It's great. They're fantastic. Another college radio station. Justin, did you have something to say about them?
Yeah, I don't listen to the radio often. I mostly listen to podcasts. Whenever I do listen to the radio, I listen to PRB. And whenever I listen to PRB, I find a new favorite musical artist that I get into.
Yeah.
I mean,
so many times I find myself I have that station on, and I find myself going to the phone saying, "Siri, what song is that?" Yeah. So
that's why you got to use Shazam, and that's why you got to beat Shazam and beat Jamie Foxx.
I don't want to. There is no beating Jamie Foxx.
No, he's too good at Shazam.
In the money. So
and I'm in need.
While we're talking about college radio,
friend indeed.
So if you're out there, WPRB
no,
people,
you're not gonna pick it up.
I don't know it.
You're the greatest, and I love
well,
you.
Well, she's a gold digger.
Oh my god. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to recommend some Peeps because
you're going to recommend the Marshmallow Candy because it's springtime.
No, I'm going to recommend a different college radio station. I'm going to recommend WXAC 91.3 in Reading, Pennsylvania. Reading, Pennsylvania.
The former mayor of Reading was just indicted on federal corruption charges recently.
Cool story,
Going
bro.
to jail.
Cool story, bro. And it's the college radio station of Albright College, and I just shout out to those folks. They've got a really cool burgeoning music scene out there at Albright. A lot of house show venues are springing up. The Musty Basement, the Upside Down. I've played one. I'm going to be playing the other, the Musty Basement, in a couple weeks. They're a great bunch. It's a really small college, really tight knit, and some really cool townies as well. And you probably live too far away, so streaming on the internet. Those are my recommendations.
Sweet.
Lads, what are we doing next week?
We're doing all we know for sure. We'll talk about it off pod at some point. But we
need to figure out the movie.
But
we're doing.
The hatred beaming from Justin's soul right now.
I'm sorry for blowing up Kevin Pollak's spot.
Justin is a white-hot quasar of hatred.
We will be covering Stephen Malkmus's new...
The very new record.
Very new, came out today.
Hey, guys, Groove?
Denied!
So, listen, everyone. I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank Stephen Hussein Suboleski for joining us tonight on the
we
Plaid.
have to put the Hussein, I'm sorry.
Plaid Lad Coliseum.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Here,
it's been a pleasure.
With the Iron Chefs of Plaid Laddiness. We're gonna see you again soon, Subi. We're gonna be on here.
See you again.
You're gonna be here.
I'll be back here, just standing behind you guys, like usual,
smiling.
Yeah.
Please hug Justin intermittently because he just gets sad.
Yeah,
he's a sad boy.
I don't do hugs.
Big ol'
All right, I'm gonna hit stop.
Bye, I love you.
Bye.
Bye.
I love you too. Bye. Bye, my little babies.
Long ago, and oh so far away, I fell in love with you before the second show. Your guitar, it sounds so sweet and clear, but you're not really here. It's just the radio. Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this weekend, baby. coming back this way again, baby. Baby, 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 oh baby, I love you, I really do.
You talking to me? I don't see anyone else. You talking to me? I don't see anyone else.